This is the Construction Leading Edge podcast from constructionleadingedge.com and constructionbusinessaccelerator.com. My name is Todd DeWalt. It's my job to help construction business owners eliminate chaos and maximize revenue. I've got a great interview today with a couple of guys from groundupconstruct.com. We're going to be talking about the skilled labor shortage and really about how to solve it and some of the things that are actually going on behind the scenes. So here's what you're going to get out of this podcast. We're going to talk about what's going to happen if you were to lose a key employee. We're going to talk about the war for talent that's going on and the fact that your key people are probably being approached by your competitors right now. We'll talk about some misconceptions about being in the field, some of the real problems behind the skilled labor shortage, how to work with, how to connect with, how to leverage the power of the next generation of the workforce that's coming up, and some interesting things that I certainly have never thought about. And then ultimately how we can change the narrative on construction. So we're going to get into that interview with Josh and Josh from groundupconstruct.com. They're doing some really cool stuff to attack this issue in our industry. But a couple of resources I want to get in your hands. First of all, first is this app that I came across called Field Chat. So if you manage a project or manage a crew on a construction site, think about this. What's the one thing that drives you crazy? If you said it's dealing with all the communications and trying to make sure everybody has the information they need, then you're not alone. And let's face it, if you're managing a crew or a project, you're really an information broker. It's about getting the right information to the right people at the right time at the right level of detail. Text messages are huge on job sites because they're great for getting information across quickly to groups, and everybody knows how to use a text message, hopefully. But the problem is these texts are not stored in one place, they're hard to manage, and they're hard to stay on top of. And because the messages and pictures aren't saved, they're not organized, they're not searchable, it really makes it impossible for you to refer back to these conversations if there's ever some sort of dispute. And if you've ever been through a dispute, you know that the person with the best documentation generally wins. But there's good news. I discovered this app called Field Chat. Field Chat is the ultimate text messaging platform for construction sites, period. It alleviates what I like to call this Bermuda Triangle of information between the field, the office, and the client. I call it the Bermuda Triangle because it's where information goes and just disappears. It leaves the office and it never makes it to the client, or it leaves the field and never makes it to the office. It's this Bermuda Triangle of information. So what Field Chat does is it automatically organizes all of your instant communications by project, giving you an organized, searchable history of all the messages. That's very important. It also integrates with text messaging, so it's easy to include anyone in the communication, whether it's somebody on your team that refuses to learn technology or a subcontractor that prefers just to use text messaging rather than downloading some newfangled app. So here's what I want to know. Where was Field Chat when I ran the construction business that I ran a few years ago? Frankly, I needed a tool like this to keep our operations running smoothly. Instead of all the fragmented conversations that left important people out and commitments that were made that I could no longer find proof of, like approvals and selections. So here's what this tool means to you. More time. Field Chat is going to accelerate progress. It's going to reduce mistakes. It's going to reduce rework and reduce chaos, which I am all about. It's going to do this by making project communications more effective. And right now, Field Chat is offering you, the Construction Leading Edge listener, 15% off. Just go to fieldchat.com/edge. Fieldchat.com/edge. In fact, you can go start your free trial right now and see how it feels to have communications that free up more of your time. That sounds like a good thing. Go check that out, fieldchat.com/EDGE. I demoed what they're up to. I demoed their software. Super simple. Doesn't have a whole lot of stuff that you're not interested in. So if you just want to streamline your communications, that is the way to do it. The next thing I want to get in your hands is a free resource. Cash flow is a big deal. If you are struggling with cash flow, if you are struggling to drive your projects and you feel like you're not getting where you want to be, then I want to get my Revenue Maximizer tool in your hand. It is a spreadsheet template that you can use to drive your projects forward. Plug and play, step-by-step process. There's also training videos to go along with it. It's going to show you a new way to think about your business. And the good news is it's free. It's part of a free 10-day trial of the Construction Business Accelerator program. You can go grab your free trial over at constructionbusinessaccelerator.com and get your free trial. Grab the Revenue Maximizer. You're also going to have access to all sorts of other stuff. This is like Netflix for contractors. There's the project execution formula, the crew productivity booster, where you're going to get some tips on how to make your crews more productive. You're also going to have access to, the mindset upgrade, the Contractor Sales Accelerator. Lots of stuff about selling, lead generation. It is the best thing I can do for you, and it's free. I don't know why you haven't signed up already. Go grab your free trial, constructionbusinessaccelerator.com, and you're also going to get access into a private Facebook group for construction business owners just like yourself. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to bounce ideas off somebody rather than have to go through the expensive and painful learning curve by yourself? One other thing I want to let you know about is I'm going to be, while this podcast is about the skilled workforce delusion, as I call it, I'll be giving a talk on this, a 3-hour workshop. If you're anywhere around Cincinnati on May 8th, then you need to come to the Home Builders Association of Greater Cincinnati. That morning, May 8th, 2019, I'll be giving a workshop on the skilled labor delusion. We're going to dig into the real problems behind the skilled labor shortage. Now, you'll learn why it's not really a problem, why it's a symptom of other underlying problems, and the things you can do to immunize your company against talent poaching. It's one of the things we're going to talk about today is there are people trying to steal your key people right now, and there are things you can do to immunize your organization from talent poaching. So check that out. To find out all the details, look me up on Facebook, look me up on LinkedIn. All of that information will be available. If you can't do that, if you can't find it there, send me an email, todd@constructionleadingedge.com, and I'll send you the information. But May 8th, we're going to do a workshop where you're going to walk out of there with strategies that will help you grow your business without hiring more people, immunize your team against talent poaching, and help you thrive while other people are struggling to find the right people. All right, I think that's it. Let's get into that interview with Josh and Josh from groundupconstruct.com. All right, so we've got Josh Munns and Josh Denton from groundupconstruct.com on the podcast. Thanks, guys, for being here. How are you gentlemen today?
Yeah, thanks, Todd, for having us. We appreciate the opportunity to talk with you.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much, Todd. Appreciate it.
Cool. So we talked a few weeks ago. We're going to be talking a lot about workforce, what I call the skilled labor delusion, training, we're going to go down the rabbit hole, and we're going to talk about the real issues behind the skilled labor delusion. And here's the deal. Adding more people is not the only solution. In fact, I would say that adding more people could make your problem worse. It could actually put you out of business. So here's the question. Let's talk about this. There's a huge threat right now to contractors, and it's the war for talent. I've heard stories of people walking up on the job sites, making offers to people on the spot, no interview, no drug test, no application, saying, hey, I'll give you $1 more an hour for on top of whatever you're getting paid, just come to work for me. And there are headhunters out there. There are recruiters actively trying to poach talent away from clients, from other competitors. So what do contractors need to be aware of here that maybe they're not so aware of? Well, let's talk about that, the threat of losing the war for talent.
Well, you're absolutely right, Todd. It's incredible what's happening. And as I owned a glass and glazing company in Northern Nevada, it was happening to our employees all the time. We'd have guys show up on the job site, tap my guys on the shoulder, and say, "Hey, come over to me for another $1 an hour, and I'll give you these benefits, and I'll give you this." And luckily enough, we were able to create a culture and create loyalty with our employees where they would tell them no. And so it didn't happen to us as often as it could have, with as much as it happened, but it is happening every day. And that is the fear, that is the scare. I mean, what happens if you lose that key employee? What if that works and that person decides to walk away from your company? What's that going to do to you and your team?
Yeah. Like, imagine you lose if you have 4 project managers or superintendents and you lose one, and somebody offers them a truck and a $25,000 raise, and they just promise whatever it takes and they jump, what's that going to do to your business? Or you lose your CFO. Or, I mean, we're not just talking about skilled labor, skilled workforce here. This war for talent goes all the way up and down the org chart.
Yeah, 100%.
This is something people need to be aware of. So this is, what else are you guys seeing? What else are you seeing that threats that are out there to companies in this war for talent that contractors need to be aware of? Anything else that they need to know about?
We need to be very aware that there's information. We have the most information that we've ever had as far as at our fingertips, the ability to go onto things like Glassdoor, go to Indeed. They are doing estimates on your salary. They're telling people, hey, you should be making this. Are you in line on that? Can you afford what your area is saying an operations manager should be making? Or is there a threat there? That can somebody look at that and say, hey, if I offer this guy just $10,000 more a year, he's going to he's going to feel comfortable. So we have so much information in front of us. We are being bombarded with the entrepreneurial spirit in front of everybody. Everybody's being told this is the greatest opportunity in life to be an entrepreneur. So if your people are questioning their job every day or not enjoying what they're doing, there's no culture, they're just coming and working for you, they're seeing so many different outlets to get to somewhere else. You talk about people literally walking up onto a job site. I don't even have to walk up onto a job site. I can find those people online. I can actually pinpoint them through different things. So the war is happening, whether it's your job site or actually at home. There's information that's happening from their loved ones that are talking to them and saying, hey, I heard that these guys are making, $2 more an hour. I had that literally happen to me. I had a glazer come up to me and say, listen, I found out that down the street they're doing this. And I said, no problem. I completely understand. I go, can you find out for me what their benefits are? I want to make sure that we're all in line. He came back and he goes, well, yeah, they're doing this, but it's at, this percentage. So I broke it down for him so he could really understand what he was getting. That's the war that's happening all the time. And I've watched too many top line leaders kind of brush it off and just not give the information as they should. We need to be open and transparent with our own employees because they're the ones in the trenches with us. They need to know, and it'll make them more comfortable to be with us.
Yeah. I think transparency is key. The tendency might be to bury your head in the sand and hope for the best, hope nobody finds out, and just react to it. But by the time you find out about it, it's probably too late. You've already lost that person. They've already committed. They've made the emotional decision to make the jump, and you're done. So it's much better to get ahead of it. I think that's a great idea.
The grass is always greener on the other side. It's about the engagement, and it's about understanding your employees and having a team that works together, for a goal. And if your employees are on board and understand where their career is going to go with you and what the next step in their career is, and you're engaged with them, then that grass isn't greener. But if it's open-ended and they don't know, then it's always going to be better somewhere else.
Yeah. If all you're offering is a paycheck, if your mindset is, well, I'm giving them a paycheck, I'm paying these guys what I have to, and all you're giving them is a paycheck, then if somebody comes along with a better paycheck, then they'll make the jump. Or if somebody comes along with the same paycheck and a better experience, a better culture, more opportunity, more growth, less drama and gossip, even if it just appears to be that way, they're going to make the jump. So yeah, I think culture and leadership and recognition and engagement, it's a competitive advantage. And it's not only is it an advantage, but just to keep from losing what you have. You have to do this. And this is one of the biggest groups of people who's overlooked as the solution to the skilled workforce issue are the 10 million people that are working in construction right now. So the people on your job sites, in your trucks, in your office, I think they're one of the biggest parts of the solution, that the solution is right in front of us. We're looking past them toward these people that are out there. We're trying to attract people into the industry, this sort of thing. And we're overlooking the people who are right in front of us. So let's talk about an example. Can you share some story or a case study of what this looks like when it's well done to solve this problem?
Well, I mean, yeah, I can say that from my own experience with our company that I had. It was Envision Glass here in Northern Nevada, and we just recently sold that company to a new owner. But as we were there, we were able to create loyalty and create culture with our employees, through those success paths and getting people, promoted within the company. And when people see that happen, and you have those conversations, they tend to feel more comfortable. And so we had a lot of employees with us who worked, I have a guy who worked there for 20 years who started off making screens and is now the manager, one of the general managers of the location, making a phenomenal paycheck, getting great benefits, getting retirement plans. And he's been asked to leave the company numerous times. He's had plenty of opportunity to go somewhere else. Same with our service manager. He's had plenty of opportunity to leave, but they stay because they've been given these opportunities and been given the loyalty, and they understand that it's more than just a paycheck. So it can work great. And we see it across the board. One of our partners that we work with is a company called Public Restroom Company. Amazing company, great benefits. And they promote from within, and they have guys who started sweeping the floor who are now running logistics and who are running, director of purchasing. So these stories happen all over the place, but it's the other side of it where you see companies falling apart and leaving because guys are taking the next step. And that's the sad part about it, because if you have a good team and you nurture them, you don't have to go through this war as bad as some of these other companies are.
And part of the story, kind of why we even have our heart toward this, is that when I was working with Josh at Envision Glass, in our individual meetings, we were scared to ask people what they wanted to do next. That's actually, of the ground up construct, that build what's next was absolutely hey, avoid asking that question. Let's not ask them what they want to do, because heaven forbid they tell me that they don't want to keep doing what they're doing, because I really need them in the field doing that. We have to, because at one point the cup will run dry. The drive that they have, they can't do it. None of us do. We all have things that we're going for and goals, and we are setting up what we want to do. It's the same for all of them, and we need to not be scared to set them up for that. And it could shock us. They could be like, I really want to do sales. Oh my gosh. Well, we actually got to do that in our company. An 18-year installer came in, started being a business development and estimator. Best guy we could have ever hired. We were so scared to get him out of the field, yet he made us better when he came inside, and it gave an opportunity for a guy to step up into his spot. So now we've got a younger guy coming in under there. We kind of created the right way to really be recruiting, which was by people being attracted to the success that people are having within your company.
That's interesting. So highlighting the success of people in your company as a recruiting tool. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. What are some of the misconceptions or wrong beliefs that employers have toward skilled members of the skilled craft force pool, folks who work in the field? What are some of those wrong mindsets or wrong beliefs that employers have toward them?
Well, first off, I think we underestimate them a lot. I think that there's a big gap there, in the sense that we underestimate what they could step in and do. I had guys who shared marketing ideas that were brilliant, and had I not had that opportunity to talk with him at the Christmas party about it, wouldn't have never known. So we need to open up more communication with them. There's great ideas that live within them. There's actually huge logistic ideas that they're like, hey, why are we doing it this way, guys? We need to be driving here. Except for we create such a hierarchy in construction, and it's most companies as well, every industry. But it's that, well, I'm just doing what I'm being told. And they are really great, amazing people in the sense that they do what they're told and they go out and do it. But open up that conversation. We are underestimating what they offer, and they could actually, again, that delusion, they could actually make it where it's like, hey, we've got a team of 10 and we're getting done what a team of 20 is if you just let me manage the jobs how we should do it. Because you, the manager, is thinking you know what you're doing from all your years, but you're back at the office and you're not seeing it. Mm. So I think that's one of the misses that we have as far as our field.
Yeah. What about you, Mr. Buns? What do you think?
Yeah, no, I would absolutely agree with what Denton said. It's incredible the talents that most people have in companies that are untapped, and strictly because we don't ask the questions, we don't have the conversations with them, we don't engage with our employees because we are just so head in the sand, buried on focus on what we have to do, and we think, like you said, if we keep adding people to the team, it's going to get better. And I can't agree with you more on what you said about, if you're adding people to the team without having a solid foundation, it's just going to make it worse and worse. And so, when you talk with your employees, you can learn so much from them and have that true engagement and listen to them, because they're the ones who are out doing these projects every day. They're in the field installing, they're dealing with the issues on the job site. They're dealing with, the schedule conflicts, and they know it better than most. So it's amazing what these guys can bring to you if you just listen to them. One of the best things that you can do is learn from your employees and understand that, they have ideas that are out there, and they're probably smarter than you even give them credit for. Just because they're installing, electrical doesn't mean they're not bright. We've kind of given that notion like, hey, construction's a fallback. Good for you. Right. You didn't do good in school, so you came into construction. These guys are as smart as anybody else. They just chose this path, and it's amazing the information these guys have.
Yeah, absolutely. I interviewed Randy Hall, CEO of Batson Cook, one of the largest general contractors in the Southeast, and he said something to the effect of every pair of hands comes with a free brain. And it's true.
Yeah.
The misconception, a couple of misconceptions that I've run into the most would be, one, that there has to be a line, that there is a line, and there should be a line between management and labor. So,
so, that misconception is, I will say, actually cancerous. And what I've actually, and that's the thing that I can walk into any subcontractor right now, general contract, mostly subcontractors, I can walk in right now and I could almost probably draw the line exactly where everybody feels like they're on that side, because the silos are just so easily built up and then hard to bring down. Mm-hmm. I tried my best. If I could have, I would have opened the entire warehouse where everybody in the office was seeing actually what's going on in the glass shop, because I needed both sides to see, we need to have empathy toward each other. And I think that will help bring down these walls. We need to understand that day when these guys are getting in at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, and is unbelievable. And they are creating and installing and finishing amazing projects. But I also need them to see Lois, who is also doing their payroll, and how hard that is too. We need to have empathy. And I think that will actually bring these walls down. That is not an easy task for us to take, though.
Yeah, there's this natural tendency to divide. We divide between, I've seen it between the office and the field, between the field and the shop guys, between the guys in one city and the guys in another city, between this crew and that crew. We have this tendency to divide. It's a natural human tendency to withdraw and divide and somehow start comparing and taking shots at the other guys. And it could be field and accounting, right? It's like, the problem is there's this physical separation that they never see each other. So when we don't see somebody, we don't see the people cutting our checks. For some reason, we tend to assume they're out to get us. They're just, the narrative goes negative pretty automatically. I think you got to tear those walls down. I did a project working with a real estate developer, and he told me about a client that he worked with. It was a manufacturing facility, and the CEO of the company was very deliberate about the design of his facility. And he said, the bathrooms for the factory workers are going to be exactly like the bathrooms for the people in the office. They're not going to have lower grade finishes. They're going to have ceramic tile. They're going to have the same fixtures. They're not going to be treated like low level or lower class employees. And we see this so many times, right? It's down to, well, you know, you're a field guy. You don't need an office, or you don't need this, or you can just use a bathroom wherever. And they feel that. And there's this separation between office and field management and labor. So that's a huge misconception, in my opinion, that there should be a line. Then the other one is the misconception that, well, you know, they're just here for a paycheck, right? These guys don't care. They're just here for a paycheck. I have to motivate them. They don't have any good ideas. And that's just, if you do that, you're completely putting a lid on your people and your organization. And there's this whole untapped resource that's available. If you can tap into the hearts and minds of your people, they have brilliant ideas, better ideas than you have. And they can solve problems better than you can. And this is one of the other misconceptions, is that whoever is higher on the org chart is better equipped to make decisions. And that's not the case.
No, definitely
in my
not.
opinion,
Or it's, yeah, go ahead.
the people who are best equipped to make decisions are the ones closest to the problems. And if you just empower them to do so, you'll be amazed at what happens. Yeah. What were you going to say, Munz?
Well, and if they're just there for a paycheck, then, you know, why are they showing up, you know, early for a project, or why are they staying late to get a job done, or why are they caring about the quality of the work that they do? If they're just there for a paycheck, you're going to know that, and they're not going to be a fit for your company. And most trades people are not there for a paycheck. They're there because they love what they do. They're there because they get to stand back at the end of the day and say, look what I created. And it is their personal brand that makes them the quality people that they are. And if you have that mindset that they're just there for a paycheck, that's a leadership issue. Yeah. That's a issue. And that starts with the leaders of the company. And that's where that needs to change, because if that's the mindset, it's your problem. It's typically not theirs, because if they're there for a paycheck, they would have already left, because that $1 an hour is so much more attractive than staying for you because you're the bad leader that caused that problem.
We also have to translate and be better listeners. And I think that will help with the misconceptions as well. You know, the guys at the end of the night coming back and kind of complaining, or it seems like it's complaining, even though they don't understand all the headaches you went through as far as contracts and getting payroll, and we're handling rent. You know, there's all these things that, again, we don't see what each other are doing, because the office is the office and the field is the field. They come back and you're like, hey, how was your day? And you didn't really ask them to hear how their day was. You just wanted, hey, everything's good, cool, talk to you later. And they actually kind of dive into it. We need to translate that into, they're actually giving us the blueprint of what we can improve, because they're complaining about what's going on is actually giving us the blueprint of where are the pinch points, what are the issues. They may not know how to communicate exactly, hey, I saw this today, I have an idea for this. Take what they're saying and say, oh my gosh, that's a pinch point. I've heard that from 3 of you. I need to work on that. I need to talk to the general contractor about that. That shouldn't be happening. Instead of just going, oh my gosh, they just come back and complain every day. Because again, we're delusional in the fact that we think that we have the worst problems on our shoulders. Yet the reality is, go out into the field, get onto a job site. I feel for these guys every day. We have more paper pushing general contractors with 22-year-old construction managers coming out of college telling my guys who have had 15 to 20 years experience how to build things, and it's not working out. And it's causing them that enough grief that it does point them closer to walking away from your company. And I don't think most of us are ready for that to happen.
Yeah. And I think a lot of this comes back to the mindset. I'm a big proponent of servant-based leadership. My job is to make sure that the people that I support / report to me, the people I say I support, these are the people on my team, these are the people I support. It's my job to make sure they're successful. So when somebody comes back to me with feedback and complains, like, hey, this process is not working, then I see that as these are opportunities for improvement. These are things we can fix. Now, there are times when somebody just wants to gossip or bitch and moan, and there's a little bit of venting necessary. I'm not suggesting you have to listen to all of this stuff, because some people are what I call proximity talkers. Like when you get within 30 feet of them, there's this guy named Richard that I worked with a long time ago. If you got within 30 feet of Richard, he would start talking. And then once you got 30 feet away from him, he would stop. So he had like a proximity reader. And if you stayed within that proximity, he would just keep talking. So you just had to pass through that zone as fast as possible. But if you think that it's your job to be the boss and boss these people, and they come back and they give you good feedback, you're going to take it as an accusation, and you're completely missing out on it. And I agree about having inexperienced people who are managers with their binder or their iPad or whatever, taking the position that they can tell people what to do who've been doing it for 20 years. That's really dumb. That is such a bad approach. My advice for those young people would be, hey, go learn, go ask questions, tell them, help them see what needs to be done, but you have no idea how it needs to be done. Don't tell them what to do. Ask questions, learn, build relationships. It's gonna work out a whole lot better. So let's hit this thing right in the face. What's the real problem? Do we just have a shortage of people, or what are some of the real problems behind this thing that presents itself as the skilled labor shortage? What do you guys think?
Well, first off, one of the biggest problems is that we have technology. We have technology catching up in construction. We have people finally coming around to understanding that there are things that are going to augment what we do as a company, improve our communication, improve what we're doing. But we still have owners who are heads in the ground. This is how we do it. This is what we do. And those things aren't aligning. It actually creates more tension. And unfortunately, our field is getting caught in the middle of it. If we had leaders who are getting on board with their operations managers and everything like that, and really from the top and from the bottom down said, hey, listen, we're looking to improve the culture of our company through better communication and trying to make your lives a little bit easier, get more documents in your hands, really improve what we do. If the whole group if that was the goal, and they were aiming toward that altogether, they're good. But the problem is, it's one person in the company says, hey, I can make this better. They don't have the owner of the company on board. He tries to roll it out. The field's fighting against it. And that guy just gets frustrated and most likely leaves. So now you have like an operations manager, somebody, technical person trying to make the company better, getting hands up in the air going, I can't work with this. And so that's the big issue we're having. So that's just within our own companies. That's not attracting new people, but take into consideration outside people looking at companies like this, they're getting a sense of what's going on. So they're not like, I don't want to go into that. You referred to, if every day the walls are on fire, why would you want to come work in that? That's a big deal. So you have to think about it. We are trying to attract customers day in and day out, make sure that we have clients. We need to think about our employees the same way. We need to be attracting them through real, transparent culture that is your company. Don't fake it. Don't try and make it hey, we have barbecues on Fridays, and it's great, but that's not company culture. Company culture is how you guys approach problems. It's how you go after stuff, and how as a team you're going to do stuff. So I think that's our biggest issue right now. It's not just attracting people and getting more people into skilled trades. It's actually, let's fix what we have right now. Like you said, 10 million people, we have the answer right here, which will only attract more people, especially if we make headway as far as utilizing technology, getting owners and their support teams all in a line with the field all in a line. We will create a foundational culture that attracts people into it, just like technology did from the late 80s through the 90s as far as a new frontier of computers.
Well, and I also think it's what has been said is that we have good people in our companies, and it's changing the culture to actually doing training and teaching and building within. And that is going to help attract people to our industry when they see professional growth, when they see training happening in companies. It's going to help attract people. Now, we do need more people in construction. We need to attract more people to our industry, 100%. Is it as detrimental in every company as it's written on every news flash and every article out there? It feels that way, but it feels that way because we're not open to looking inside of our own company and really embracing training. And I mean that from the bottom of the labor all the way up to the top. If you focus on training and focus on your team to put people in better positions and teach them and nurture them, you can actually have a stronger company with less people. So you can actually be stronger, but you need to take that culture of training and bring it to your organization and stop looking for that magic unicorn that's going to come fix your problem. I need this guy with 15 years experience. I need this girl with 10 years experience to come in here because that's what I need. Well, they're already working in other companies. So how can you take somebody that's in your current company and teach them and train them and nurture them? It's amazing how much training can shape your company if you put the effort into it. But construction for so long has been very shy of doing that in their own company. They're expecting trade schools to put people out into the industry that know everything. A trade school can teach somebody the basics. They can teach them about construction. They can get them understanding. But until you actually crawl under a house and are working on some piping or some plumbing or electrical and do it, it's different, because in a lab in a trade school, it's all perfect and it's 70 degrees and it's beautiful. That's not how construction is. And so you need to take that training, to your company, to the field, and really nurture that. And that will really help shape your company and attract people to an industry, because people want to learn. People want to understand, what's next in their career, but they want to be taught. And especially this next generation, they have more information than they've ever had. They want to be taught. They want to learn. And you can't just throw somebody in the field and say, good luck. That doesn't work anymore.
Yeah. Let's talk about training and the impact that has on culture. And then, Denton, I want to go back and talk about rolling out an initiative and how this is a common problem. I want to dig into that a little bit. But what does training, if a potential employee is looking at a company and they see a robust training program, what does that mean to them?
Are you talking about an employee within or employee without? Because it's two different ways. Like from the outside, and training culture from the outside is, wow, these guys actually really understand what it is they need, and they're going to kind of shape and mold me. And then from within, that person's also seeing foundational opportunity for succession planning, because they're seeing if training is going from, locally here, we're in Reno, we are affected by Tesla and Panasonic. We have the Gigafactory. One of the biggest things that I think is impressive is they've got a bottom line entry level training to get you in there. And then after a year of working there, they are expecting you to go back to school, and they will help with that and everything like that. It's that whole idea of keeping the training going. So from the outside, it's an attraction of, hey, I can come in, I can make an opportunity because these people have a foundation. From inside, hey, where am I going from here? And sometimes that's a little overwhelming for some. I mean, I've worked with people who like the job they have. We like what we do. I think some people live perfectly in that room. They can absolutely do that, but we need to lift the lid off of everything and let people see those opportunities that come up. And so training needs to be really that ability for a ladder, which is talking about, how are you a leader? How are you, I'm Excel. I did a small Excel class with my team. It went leaps and bounds beyond what I ever could have thought. I am not a master Excel person at all, but my little bits helped them a lot. And I was like, oh, we need to do this more often. Now, the one problem is when you don't have a culture of training, it's really easy for that meeting request that's on your calendar to keep getting pushed back. And that's exactly what we did. We did 2-3 weeks of it, and then things got busy and I pushed it off because we didn't have a culture of training. So when somebody from the outside sees that you have a culture of training, they feel foundationally strong, that their opportunity is stronger with you.
100%.
Yeah. So that says to an employee, they're investing in me. One, there's a cost, there's a time investment, and they're not just looking for somebody to fill a hole right now. They're looking for long-term growth. There's opportunities there. Yeah. So here's a question. This is a rhetorical question that I ask. We don't have to discuss it, but what if what if contractors are actually people development companies masquerading as construction companies, and that the most important thing is building people? And what if the projects and the work we do are all just ways, just a means to an end, and that end is to develop people? If that's your approach, if that's your culture, think about how that changes the approach to training and hiring. But on the flip side, for people who think, well, we're just doing projects, and we need people to build projects, then those people are interchangeable with tools and trucks and equipments, and it's a whole different culture there. So let's go back to the rolling out an initiative. This is something I hear a lot. People will say, well, I tried to roll out a safety program and get everybody to stop walking walls or get everybody to stay tied off, but everybody just fought me on it. What's the deal behind that? Why is that? Why doesn't that approach work? And is there a better way to roll out an initiative, whether it's safety or productivity or training, that will actually work better than that approach?
I think that what I've seen a lot in construction and with companies is that they say they want to do it, they start, and then the walls go back on fire, and a project is late or behind, and then it gets pushed to the side again, and then they say we want to do it again, and they get pushed to the side again. So these employees are seeing, hey, they get excited. Like, you come into a meeting and say, hey, we're gonna roll out this training. We're excited to announce this. Employees get excited about it, and then 3 months later it stops. And then, they're like, man, what happened? And then 6 months later, hey, we're going to get back at it. So it's that in and out that really causes the issue. If you're going to do it, you have to follow through with it, and you have to stay with it consistently, because consistency will create that culture. If you do it randomly, it's just going to be, the ebbs and flows and the ups and downs. And then the employees aren't going to start trusting you. They're going to say, hey, they keep saying they're going to do this, and then they don't. So it really has to be consistent. You have to start somewhere. And so, I would just highly recommend that if you're going to start whatever it is, be consistent about it and follow through with it, and do that continuously. If you have any lapse in it, you start getting that doubt in their minds. They start seeing it happening again, especially if you've done it in the past. If you've said you're going to do it and then didn't do it, and said you are and didn't, they're not going to have that trust. So you have to be consistent.
And I highly suggest that we need to stop rolling things out, or we need to stop brainstorming in that one office or that guy's office. We start with 2 ideas. We start with maybe 3 ideas. The reality is anything that we're rolling out is going to affect 10, 20, 65, 100 people. We need to start take into the consideration that there's a lot of data to download from these people, which means you have to communicate. And that means, that servant leadership, like you were referring to, is making sure that they feel like they're being listened to, because if I want them to listen to me when I'm rolling this out, heaven forbid I'm not listening to them. And so you need to start from the bottom. The cornerstone of your company. Stop calling it the bottom. They are the absolute foundation of what we do. Guess what? I could go away and they will be just fine. Right. So the reality is they are the cornerstone. Stop calling it the bottom. So start figuring out that data. What is it we're rolling out? How would it affect them? And start get those key ones to buy in and let them know this is coming. Don't just say, hey, on Friday, we're rolling this thing out on Monday. You better accept it and be excited about it, because they've got a lot of other things on their mind that aren't on your mind. They know what's going on at the project. They know what's going on in the field. We need to be empathetic. We need to understand rollouts and new initiatives affect people. So let's get buy-in. Let's really become that team. And there's so many cliche things to say, but like that, one dream, one team. You get minds thinking alike and a culture creating that, you can be unstoppable. But we unfortunately get egos and things in the way.
Yeah, I think a lot of this goes back to the misconception. There's this thing in people's blind spot where they think, well, if there's a problem, then I'll just come up with a solution because it's my job. I sit in the office trailer. I sit in the office. It's my job to come up with the ideas. And then it's their job to implement them. Well, I can tell you, If you hand an idea of some fully baked plan to somebody who's the typical construction lead person, they're type A, they're goal oriented, they like to just drive through obstacles. If you tell them what they're going to do, it's not going to go very well. Maybe they'll do it, probably not. But if there's a problem with that plan, they're going to find every problem with that plan. So here's what I found is that, well, this is actually a human condition. Okay. It's the term I've seen for it is psychological reactance, which means if somebody tells me to do something, then that makes me less likely to do it. And if somebody tells me not to do something, that makes me more likely to do it, because Todd and every other human doesn't like to have options taken away from him. So you think about that, like, how does that affect how we roll something out? How does that affect how we coordinate with our subcontractors? How does that affect safety? That's a whole other rabbit hole we could go down. But so if you want something to stick, first of all, make sure that your initiative solves a real problem, because there's nothing worse than rolling some initiative out that is completely useless, and it's just a feather in the cap of somebody in the office, and it just creates a problem. So first of all, make sure that your initiative solves a real problem, and then get people involved and say, hey, here's what we're thinking about. Here's a problem that needs to be solved. What do you think? What do you think is the best way to go about this? Maybe you've got an idea. Maybe it's an amazing idea in your head, but the half-ass 60% idea that somebody else will follow through on that's not yours is way better than your perfect idea that everybody will fight. So involve them in the planning process, help them see the big picture, let them come up with the idea. You would be amazed at what will happen when you get people in the room and say, hey, here's a problem. What do you think we should do? What would you do? How can we handle this? How can I help you? And then they come up with a system, a process, or whatever. If it's their plan, they'll run through walls to make sure that plan works. But if it's your plan, they will call you every time they run into a hiccup.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
All right, so let's talk about the next generation. Lots to talk about. These millennials. I don't know what the next generation after millennials is going to be called. They're probably going to be terrible too. Just like I think I'm a Gen Xer, and I was terrible. I'm sure the baby boomers were terrible to the people before them. But a lot of people are talking about, how do you work with millennials? So let's just talk about that. What are some of the misconceptions? What should people be thinking? How can they, here's the question. How do people really need to be thinking or stop thinking when it comes to working with this next generation?
Well, if you thought about, let's bring it to a bid. Let's say I'm going to go bid this, yet the person I'm going to bid actually knows every cost and knows what I'm getting things for and knows what my labor is, knows everything. And I give him a bid and he goes, dude, you marked that's up 50%. Like, what are you doing to me? That's what our new generation is. They have every insight into every item, from employment to industries to what people are making. They have the world is 100% 3D. They can see every side, they can see inside, they can see out. So if we are going to fake them out like we think we will with job descriptions and, kind of elaborate succession paths for them, they don't buy it. So I don't think they're wrong. I think that's one thing that the misconception is that they are not here to work. I just think that they have a lot more information about what they want to do. You have to take into consideration the people that are working right now, they were highly affected by 2009, 2010. Their moms, their dads, their aunts, their uncles, a lot of people lost a lot of things. And if their dad or mom were in construction, I would be a little bit weary of going into this industry that offered me a great life all the way up till 2007, 2008. And then it took everything away. We are so much more emotionally driven. The logic of it, I could show them the economy of it, and they would say, no, you don't understand what it did to my family. Yeah. They won't tell me that, but that's exactly what happened. So are they wrong? No, I just think they're a little bit more educated about what they want. And they are not looking for the frat boy hazing way that we've done construction, which is, I really hope you make it through the first 3 months on the field. If you do, you're part of the crew. They want to be respected, and this is all people, and I don't think they're wrong on that either. There's an article I wrote that said maybe we do need to be a little more professional about some of these things. We need to think about the field and say, yep, we are all working for a paycheck. We're spending more time together than we do with our own families. Let's respect each other. And we can't complain about work not getting done because we don't have enough people coming in if we are absolutely doing our darndest to keep people out of it, which is what we're doing. So this generation right now, they have the information, they're looking for a pathway, and they're looking to be respected. And when we have had that happen, and I've been lucky enough to have guys come into the field and do that, they have been phenomenal. So the whole overarching idea that they all are terrible and they don't want to work is such a misconception.
Yeah, that's such a good point. The hazing, you got to pay your dues, you got to go around and ask people for, go find the board stretcher, go find the stud stretcher. There was an HVAC, a guy working for a HVAC company years ago. He sent his laborer around looking for 6 feet of fallopian tube, which is pretty hilarious. Obviously, this kid had not taken biology, didn't have a good grasp of what he was looking for. But yeah, who likes that stuff? Nobody. It's funny, you see these videos of, we're going to put the new guy through the vibration test and give him a sledgehammer and make him hit the ground in a circle for 5 minutes until he passes out. You know what? If you want to keep people, if you want to attract new people and keep those people, you better cut that shit out, because they're just going to go somewhere else. Does that make them feel appreciated? Yeah, it's all in good fun. We did it when we were kids. And listen, maybe you didn't have a choice 30 years ago, but to somebody who has a choice, they're going to go somewhere else. All things being equal, they're going to go somewhere where they're not treated like the town jester and made fun of. So, and you make a great point I had never really thought about. Somebody who grew up, whose family was affected, whose parents were affected by the recession, they're going to be stung by that, and they may not be able to verbalize it. But they saw what mom or dad or uncles went through and lost everything and closed their business and got foreclosed on and stuff like that. So yeah, that's a great point. Josh Munns, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, no, it's true. We've had a tough go in our economy, from a long time. We've gone from boom to bust, and now we're booming again. And so you have seen people affected by that. So I can't agree more with that. But the other thing is this generation has different values than our guys did before. They value things a lot differently. They look at their work a lot differently. A lot of people nowadays, especially as millennials, aren't as motivated the same way that we were before. So we have to just adjust and change to this next generation and work with it. Because if we don't shape our companies to fit this next generation, I can tell you they're not going to shape to fit with us. They're not going to change their ways to fit with us. They have so much opportunity right now in every industry. Every industry is struggling for people right now. It doesn't matter if it's hospitality. It doesn't matter if it's automotive. It doesn't matter if it's doctors. We're seeing this across the board. So there's opportunity everywhere, and they're going to go where they feel more comfortable, because that's one of their values. They want to go somewhere where they feel comfortable, where they feel respected, and they feel they have opportunity. And if we're not shaping our industry to bring that to them, then there's no reason for them to even consider it, especially if they were affected, or saw their parents go through it. Everybody knows somebody in construction. It's that big of an industry. We all know somebody who works in construction. So we've all seen the stories or heard about our uncle who lost everything, even if it didn't affect you directly. So it's all out there, and everybody's afraid our economy is going to crash again. And we're booming like crazy. Reno is number one fastest growing city here. And I remember hearing that when I was in high school. And then I saw what happened in 2008 here. We almost lost everything. Luckily enough, we were able to keep some good employees and stay in business. But, we went from 125 employees down to less than 30. And we lost millions of dollars. And so that was detrimental to us. Luckily we fought through it, but people saw that happen and they think it's going to happen again. So we have to understand the values of this next generation to really attract them to the industry, because they have different values than what we know before.
Yeah, it's probably not so wise to, well, there's two approaches. There's the unwise approach, which is to stand back and say, these kids don't want to work and they need to work harder. They need to whatever. They need to have a stronger work ethic, and we're not going to change. Or you could be like the companies that will survive this disruption, that will win the war for talent and will thrive as a result of it, and say, all right, we're in the business of developing people and serving our customers. So let's change the way we think. Let's change the way we operate. Let's fashion our culture and our processes around the most important asset, which is our people. And then in another 20 years, when the next generation comes along, they'll adapt to that as well. And the companies who don't adapt will be left on the sidelines still saying, these kids, they don't want to work anymore. I can tell you, I heard a story about a gentleman who was in his 80s. He was selling his property. He had a thriving construction company back in the 70s and 80s. He probably closed it down 20 years ago. And he was selling his property. And he was walking around explaining to the people who were going to buy the business, saying, giving his management philosophy, which was, you got to rule them with an iron fist, is what he said. You got to rule them with an iron fist. And I told the guy sharing that story with me, so that's why he's selling his property right now. That's why he's selling a vacant building and all his equipment, because that just doesn't work. Nobody wants to work for that guy anymore. He had plenty of yellow iron and real estate and other stuff, but nobody wants to work for that stuff. So, well, we're running out of time. I appreciate the conversation and what you guys are doing. Obviously, you guys are passionate about this, and I am too. I think this is a huge issue, and I think I'm convinced that there are some deeper root causes that have to be dealt with in order to solve this issue. And I know you guys are working on this. So talk about what you guys are up to, and then where people can go to find out more if they want to connect with you.
Well, like I said, Todd, I love construction. I grew up in construction. I've been in it since I was 4 years old. I was, living on the showroom floor of my mom's business, doing my homework as she was trying to build this company. So, I've been in it my whole life, and I love it, and I don't want to see it go away. And that's why I sold my company to do what I'm doing now, because I believe in this industry, and I believe in what we do. And so I really want to highlight and show the careers that exist in construction, and show the companies that are changing construction and shaping the future of careers. The companies who are truly taking a stance on their culture, who are taking a stance on training and really bringing our industry up to that next level. Construction's has always kind of had fallen behind on technology, and always kind of been an older industry, but it's changing. Technology is shaping it, and it's exciting where we're going to go. And that was my passion, was to show this next generation that there are amazing opportunities to be had in this industry, and to really educate them, to make sure they're going out and getting the best that they can get, to go find opportunity with companies who will build them up and build their career. And that's what Ground Up Construct is about. It's about educating the next generation and people who are currently in construction to go find good companies who will take care of you and nurture your career and build you as a person, because there's amazing opportunities out there. And in construction, we get to build the most amazing things out there, and nothing exists out there without construction. And so that is the passion, and that is what we are. And it's about building careers and showing that opportunity for good companies. And there are, unfortunately, plenty of companies out there who aren't willing to change, and they're slowly going to go away. But the companies who are shaping their company to this generation and focusing on culture and focusing on benefits and focusing on training, they're going to grow phenomenally, and they're going to provide great opportunities. And I want to see people take advantage of those opportunities. And that is our core value and our core mission.
So what exactly do you guys do? If you've got a group of construction business owners who are listening to this, how can you help construction business owners win the war for talent?
So what we've created is we have perfect examples, and we've had examples here for the last 15 years of how companies are going after talent, how they are winning the attention of future employees, how they're winning that attention much younger. And so what we've created is an ability to really market your company through our site and be able to have your jobs listed through groundupconstruct.com, where we can really highlight who you are as a culture, who you are as a company, so that when people are making that decision, they're making it based on really wanting to be a part of your team. Because the minute you have people making that decision based on your company, they stay 3 to 5 years longer than somebody who made a decision based on a job description. And too often, it's just a job description that exists out there. And so we really work hand in hand with our business leaders to make really good job descriptions so that we are attracting people to them. We can't do the 3-line Craigslist anymore that says, yeah, you need to have your own tools, you need to show up by 7 and have a good truck. That's just not going to fly anymore. The reality is we need to be real transparent. We need to say what we're offering. We need to show that it's a partnership. And that is the reality. As a business leader, as an owner of your company, you have 10 partners, 20 partners. They're all your partners. I do really respect what Starbucks was doing when they started referring to all of their baristas as partners, because they said it changed a mindset. And they're right. They are bought in. They're spending 39.2 hours on average a week with you. It's a lot of time, and 2,080 hours with you a year. We spend more time with these people. So they are your partner. They're in the trenches with you. So we really want to highlight those opportunities to really help recruit and then also recruit new people. And then we have the ability to actually implement training through your contracting company so that you can bring in new people and give them a solid foundation to grow with you. And it's not a lot of bells and whistles. It's pretty straightforward. It's on the job training augmented by online training so that we are creating more foundational construction professionals. And we've made amazing professionals. It's just amazing that these guys have worked through just learning on the field and learning on their own and, just kind of bootstrapping it. The reality is we need to clean that up. So we have that opportunity as well as far as the training, but really we just want to attract people to your company and help you in that recruiting process. We're not a staffing company. We don't have people waiting on a bench. We are here to really meet people where they are on social media, meet people where they are, and then how they're getting content instead of just a job listing.
Got it. So, sorry, go ahead, Mr. Mons.
No, and it's really trying to shape the way contractors, find people. It's a long-term strategy. Putting an ad up for 30 days on another, job board isn't going to solve the solution. We're at 3% unemployment. The people who you want working for you are working. So it's taking that long-term approach and strategically planning where your company is at, where you want to go in the future, and recruiting for those positions for the next 3, 4, 6, 8 months, not today. Construction has been so reactionary that we do put an ad up and hope that the stars are going to align and we're going to find that magical person. That's not how this needs to work. And so our strategy with our partners is to always be hiring, always be recruiting, because if you take that long-term approach, you're going to find better people that'll be with your company longer, that are career-minded, rather than plugging a hole and keeping the boat from sinking. And it's really about that long-term approach. And that's what Ground Up Construct is giving you the opportunity to always be hiring, always be recruiting, and promoting who you are as an employer to attract the right people to your company and build careers with those people, because that's the way you're going to be successful.
Yeah. What's the long-term vision for Ground Up Construct?
It's to really shine a light on an industry and show the opportunities that exist. Our goal is to continue to attract people to the industry, show them the opportunities that exist, and to make construction better, to bring it up to a professional level so that people will start referring to the professionals that we are as professionals. There's always been this segment of doctors and lawyers and all these other professions that are above construction, and we don't believe that. And so our goal and our mission is to show people there's paths in your life. There's paths coming out of high school. There's paths out of college. And if you choose to go to college, that's fantastic. But, as Mike Rose said on Good Morning America the other day, trade schools are not a consolidation prize. It's a different path, and it's as equal as going to a college. And my long-term goal 100% is to change the narrative about construction and show people that you can college, there's trade schools, there was whatever it is, but they're all on equal playing fields. As long as you're learning and building a career and you're learning a skill and you're learning a trade, it doesn't matter where that is. It doesn't matter if it's in an Ivy League college or if it doesn't matter if it's on the job training with a company. You're learning a skill, you're a professional person. And as we say, there's not a single building that exists that wasn't built by professional tradespeople. And so we need to really bring up that level of respect for our people, because we are what builds our country, and we're going to continue to build our country.
Well said. Well said. So if folks want to find out more about what you guys are up to, your website is groundupconstruct.com. Where would you recommend they go? Is there a particular place they should go? Are there articles, resources? Where would you direct them?
Yeah, we've got a section called the Newswire. It's actually our own information. We compile as much data and everything that we see, but also give you guys insight of what it was like as a general manager, as how it was for Josh as an owner in construction. There's too often that there's a lot of articles out there that these people have an opinion about our industry, yet they most likely haven't actually been in it. Both of us are really trying to bring that idea of, hey, this is what it's like to be in those walls that are on fire, and here's what we saw that, helped us extinguish those flames, really giving you the insight on there. So it's the newswire.groundupconstruct.com.
Good stuff, guys. I appreciate it. I'm sure we could talk for hours. This is a topic we're all very passionate about. But head over to groundupconstruct.com, find out what they're doing, connect with them on social media, and get in touch with these guys. They can help you out. So Josh Munns, Josh Denton, thanks for being on the podcast, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Todd, and keep up the good fight. We all need to work together to change this, and I love what everybody's doing. And so, keep it up, man. I love hearing what you're doing.
Well, there you go. That wraps this up. Be sure to go get your free trial of Field Chat at fieldchat.com/edge. Go get your free trial of my Construction Business Accelerator program. Get the Revenue Maximizer to get yourself out of the cash flow crunch. It will give you a plan to help you execute on your financial targets. It'll give you the machine that you can use to turn your business around, and it'll show you a revolutionary way of running your business. And you'll get to join a community of like-minded construction business owners, and you'll also get all sorts of other things. If you're in Cincinnati on May 8th, be sure to check out the workshop that I'll be doing there on the skilled workforce delusion. Go find me on Facebook. Go find me on LinkedIn, Todd DeWalt, DAWALT. You'll find those details. And if you can't find that, send me an email, todd@constructionleadingedge.com, and I'll get that information into your hands. But grab your spot before the seats are gone. As always, I appreciate the ratings and reviews. If you get value out of listening to this podcast, if you could take about 60 seconds and leave a rating and a review on iTunes, that would be tremendous. That helps me get the word out there. It makes the Apple algorithm show my podcast to other people. So you want to help other people get the same results you are, right? Of course you do. So if you could do that, that would be great. And if you need anything, you could find me at constructionleadingedge.com. Go check out constructionbusinessaccelerator.com, and I will see you next time.